Welcome back. Now it's time for Gallery Watch. Now the coronavirus pandemic resulted to higher consumer spending on games, which in turn resulted to a positive performance of the gaming industry globally, which was somewhat surprising and ironic because 2020 was the year nothing seemed to work. Now we are in the year 2021, vaccines are being rolled out, and life is slowly picking up. But the question is, should we expect the same growth curve of the gaming industry to be the same as it was last year? Now joining me is the one and only Kimanzi, who is from Espro Gaming, and we're going to talk about how the gaming industry has been performing from last year and what are some of the expectations we're having today. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing today? Yes, wonderful. I'm just hoping that our connection will stop playing with us and it's actually going to work. And I'm just going to jump in the first question of our conversation today. Now, a lot of gamers and individuals within that industry would say that the recent surge of the gaming industry is pretty straightforward. But for those individuals who do not really understand it fully, how exactly did this go about?
So briefly, just to explain, in people, when they hear the word gaming, they think of gambling. Standpoint. So gaming here refers to video and playing video games, whether it's casually or competitively. So pandemic, there was obviously an increased demand in gaming, especially in countries where there were lengthy lockdowns for people stuck in the house with not much else to do besides watch TV. In other ways, including video games.
Yeah.
And to example, in general, just and demand in the past year. If you look at Amazon, for example, in the United States, because a lot more people do things online and more demand for that. In the same vein, demand for people to play video games because they were stuck at home and with no projected to reach 1 billion by 2023. So the massive interest there is in the space. So there was already a lot of growth in the space rated by the onset of the pandemic.
Thank you so much for that breakdown, Davey. Now, with the new year, countries across the world are trying to find ways and different paths towards, loosening the restrictions and reopening business as well as the schools. With this happening, do you think the industry will be able to sustain this spiraling performance in 2021? Is the gaming industry still going to perform as good as it did last year now that things are going back to normal? What are your thoughts about that?
I'd say that given the increased attention in interest in gaming, maintained as a safe way to engage the public, especially in a country like ours in Kenya. We're still and we still have to adhere to a lot of these restrictions. When you look at traditional sports, there's that are so the growth of esports, which is electronic sports, essentially competitive gaming, has been accelerated with the onset of the pandemic. There's been much more activity even in Kenya in the esports space in 2020 than in throughout this period, even as the economy gets back on track and businesses and schools continue to reopen. I think a lot more eyes have been opened to the potential of growth in this industry. So for that reason, I think expect the interest in the space to be maintained.
Okay, wonderful. And even with the parks, of course, there's always challenges. What were some of the major challenges you faced last year with esports gaming, and how were you guys able to cope with it?
So with our competitions, we were doing all our competition offline, so we had to pause a lot of those. We had the Tekken 254 circuit, which is a league run for Tekken, which is a fighting game. The Kenya Combat Circuit, which is a competition we have for Mortal Kombat, which is another fighting game, and a FIFA league we have called. So we had to put those events on hold because there was the initial lockdowns and stuff that we had to adhere to. And had to replace those and engaging with game. Created a new competition for the Tekken community, Fight Nights, which we've been doing since June.
Yeah.
Also continue to engage the FIFA community with online events for E-League. So essentially we've had to this period, but yeah, we like everyone else, we've had to adapt with the pandemic, and yeah, we keep pushing. We actually had we actually did our online E-League series towards the end of last year in partnership with the Kenya University Sports Association, which was a positive development for us. So we're continuing. We're hoping to continue on that trajectory, even as we try and bring our events back offline.
Okay, well, that's amazing that you guys were able to penetrate into the online space and still use it and still continue having your esports competitions. Another thing I really wanted to get to know is, of course, throughout the pandemic, we saw esports globally get deeper investments because the gaming industry was making so much money and growing. Sponsorships became bigger even. Did Espro Gaming face any companies pulling out from sponsorship deals, especially when the pandemic hit last year? And I know you guys probably had to cancel a few of events because of, you know, the social distancing and the restrictions we had last year. But did you have any sponsors pull out?
We actually we were sort of moving away from that, but sponsors, and one of them was a company called Decoded Africa, whose venue we were using to host our events. And obviously, because we had to stop doing events, business in this period, looking for more financial opportunities has been tough. But you know, we've managed to continue our own resources with the online events, and you know, as we come back, we'll continue to look for those opportunities and you know, rekindle some of the older partnerships we had before the pandemic hit.
Okay. Now, thank you so much, Davey, for that explanation. Now, of course, because time is up for us, I have to cut our conversation short. We were having some technical issues earlier on, but this is not the end of it. I'll definitely bring you on the show again so we can have this conversation further. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Wonderful. Now, guys, because of time, I am actually just going to jump right into leaving you a video of the week before we say goodbye. So let's take a look at that.
Yo, tell them say a shen, Y-E-N-G, yang different, no depend pan man fi ascend. Me high-end best, a the best, creme de la creme, meeting up, no pin up, me no hem. Criminal wanted by many men, real champion as Buju Bantan. Them want see me feel, but that no God's plan, back on me a hunt ghost like Danny Phantom. Hot gas sauce full of flavor, no mix, me no chaser, me born a Jamaica, no punk, me no afraid. Me paper, me here for no itch, you we paper. Bring shot to you like a waiter. Blessings are run like fraser, give praise to me savior, me sharp like a razor, the well for the age, yeah. Money fear run like retainer, me want rich like rubbish major. Gas stick to me like when blood clot. Any man my left me can get that back. Me no follow fashion boss, I'm a one thing to follow what me lead. We like Dora's map. Me no sell sex, me only sell stocks. This a Shen Yang, you no take tough chat. From me start par with up top dog, me stop fighter. Bust my boss gunshot. Me no care where you come from, AK fire like dragon in a dungeon. Make skin red like when they get a suntan. All if your skin tough like fondant. Non tapino, till me the tapino. All when face makeup and sour like sapino. Also tell me out a bread, asthma attack. Tell Brock life, say me nah come back. You mad?
Right there was video of the week, guys. Because of time, I'm so sad we had to cut our conversation short, but this is not the end of it. We'll definitely take it online on our social media platforms. I'm Metropole TV KE. Tasha was meant to take us through e-calendar, but don't worry, we still have it on Friday, so we'll catch up with her on Friday, right here, same time, same place. As for now, guys, it's a goodbye, but remember, I'll catch you guys on the next show. See you for now.